August McLaughlin is a health and sexuality writer, radio personality, and creator of an empowering female sexuality brand, Girl Boner. I like that. Girl Boner. I'm going to say it again. As a teenager, she snuck into concerts by wearing paper plates on her head. Got to try that next time.
Before I met Zoe, a deaf American bulldog, I thought my life was pretty swell. After overcoming a severe eating disorder, I was fulfilling my dream of living and working as an actor in Los Angeles, and had recently moved in with my newish boyfriend, Clyde. People perpetually called us the perfect couple. Little did they, or even I, know the truth. Gradually, I found myself slipping into the depression I'd long been sporadically prone to, in unexplainable darkness that was beginning to take a toll on our relationship. Sure, there were issues, arguments, my apparent oversensitivity to emotional bumps, his feeling threatened by my obsession with my craft and career. I blamed myself. I hadn't yet realized how much insecurity remained since healing from my eating disorder. One of those issues was my difficulty feeling comfortable alone. I hadn't lived alone since my time in Paris, when I was gravely ill with anorexia. Solo nights during Clyde's frequent work trips brought flashbacks of the heart abnormalities I'd had in my tiny Parisian flat, when terror over the flippity-flop in my chest kept me from sleeping. We should get a dog, Clyde suggested one day, aware of my love for animals and hoping the companionship would help. He'd never had a pet, so we agreed on fostering first. I completed the paperwork, and a week later, drove to the shelter to retrieve Zoe. Out of the dimness of the street popped this huge, mostly white head, its wide eyes, one brown and one blue, absorbing me. Zoe walked over and sniffed my feet while her handler briefed me on dog sign language and her basic needs. How a deaf dog would keep me safe was beyond me, but I didn't care. The connection I felt with her was instantaneous. She hopped into my back seat as though doing so was customary. I caught her happy expression in the rearview mirror, which seemed to say, "Let's go home." I could not wait for Clyde to meet her. By the time he did 3 days later, Zoe and I were attached. She followed me everywhere, kept a paw on my foot wherever I sat, and checked on me as often as I peeked at her throughout the night. Taking care of her gave me a sense of purpose and fulfillment I'd never before experienced. Meanwhile, my heart ached. Dogs don't live all that long, I knew, foreseeing one of the toughest experiences I'd ever face when her time came to leave. But there was no going back, not that I wanted to. When you love another truly and deeply, all you can do is love them more. Clyde saw things differently. As soon as he glimpsed Zoe, the light left his face and disgust took over. "You're kidding me, right? We can't keep her." As a physician practicing in dangerous neighborhoods, Clyde had seen one too many injuries caused by pit bulls, which he associated with Zoe's breed and I associated with cruel owners. Perhaps if I had been stronger, I would have found a way to move out and keep her that day, but it was Clyde's house, and I had no place to go that would ensure Zoe's safety. As painful as the notion was, I knew I had to return her. The shelter couldn't take Zoe for another week. So for 7 more days, I lived with the wondrous dog my heart had already broken for twice. Clyde tried to give her a chance to no avail. "I'm not ready to let you pay so much attention to someone else," he said. Words that would echo as red flags. Then he left to stay with family until Zoe was gone. Returning her to the shelter was one of the most trying days of my life. Over the following few months, my depression, which had lifted near Zoe, returned full force. I frequently cried myself to sleep, dreamed of her, and woke up expecting to see her. Meanwhile, my relationship with Clyde grew rockier, and I began to see that our problems weren't all my fault, but derived from insecurities we both had. They seemed to knock up against each other's like ships in a hurricane while we clung to hope for the shore. One day I sat down with my guitar and wrote a song called Cinderella. Sweet Cinderella, you live and breathe alone. You sweep your secret circles, wondering how you missed your throne. I didn't realize until writing the last line, the Cinderella's me, that she was. I wasn't writing about the desire for someone to rescue me, but about a woman who'd lost sight of herself and her dreams. It was time to rescue myself. Now strengthened, I began booking acting and modeling jobs and searching for my own place. I told Clyde I wanted to live on my own for a while, that it would be good for both of us. He disagreed, and without actually saying the words, we broke up. My criteria for a new place were simple. If I could afford it and have a pet, I'd take it. But for weeks, my search proved futile. Then just before I left to visit family for Christmas, an ad appeared on Craigslist fulfilling my wish to a T. The landlord wasn't home when I visited, so he arranged for a neighbor to show me around. The incredibly warm, handsome man named Mike gave me a tour. We chatted with ease as I completed my lease agreement at his kitchen table, his pet bird clinging to my finger as though he was helping me fill in the blanks. He's never done that before, Mike said, and we both laughed. I had reason to feel offset that holiday. Breakups are never easy, and there were numerous unknowns in my life. My parents and siblings seemed concerned, but all I felt was hopeful. Something inside me told me that everything was changing for the better, and the challenges in my life weren't stress-worthy. Unable to sleep on Christmas Eve, I headed to my parents' living room where my dad gave me a dog magazine. My heartbeat sped. The cover featured Carrie, the owner of Zoe's adoption agency. I took this as a sign. Why wait? I raced to a computer and emailed her, asking whether Zoe was still available. Minutes later, she responded, "We'd love for you to have Zoe." For the first time in months, my tears were from sheer joy. When I retrieved her for the second and last time, Zoe pranced over and hopped into my car, seeming as though she'd been waiting forever. It's about dang time. If that wasn't her thought, it surely was mine. The incredible woman Jill, who sheltered Zoe and taught her sign language when no one would adopt her, told me that she'd cried after I left, one of the many commonalities between Zoe and me I would learn. I took Zoe in on a foster-to-adopt basis, thrilled to share my new house with my new best pal. I'd been told that one reason she may not have taken to Clyde was her tendency not to trust men. So when Mike came over to meet her, I warned him to take caution. But Zoe rushed over to him, threw her paws affectionately up on his shoulders. They were instant friends. As Mike and I developed a friendship of our own, Zoe spent many nights with her head out my front door, gazing at his house. The following Valentine's Day, I made the adoption official. That same day marked the beginning of a romance between Mike and me, a plot we're pretty sure Zoe and Wombly, his little green bird, had in mind all along. A year and a half later, we were wed on the step we met on. In the over 5 years since, our zoo has remained a happy one. If not for my big brindle heart, I'm not sure I would have moved fully past my eating disorder and depression, left a harmful relationship, started writing full-time, or met my wonderful husband. Mike often jokes that Zoe and I are cut from the same cloth, and not merely because we're both so darn sensitive, passionate, and stubborn. People either look at Zoe and say, "Wow, she's so lovely and unique," or shy away, perplexed and terrified. Truth be told, people have reacted similarly to me over the years. Last November, Zoe was diagnosed with a rare, incurable form of cancer. We were told that she'd likely only live a couple more weeks. That was nearly 3 months ago. Against all odds, she's been thriving. We don't know how much longer we'll have her, but we do know that we will love her with all of our hearts throughout. Much because of her, I feel strong enough to take whatever hardship may come. She deserves that. Even now, as we share this challenging part of Zoe's journey, she's teaching us the importance of savoring life, the power of unconditional love, and that the very uniqueness that makes us stand out and feel solitary at times is precisely what makes the world beautiful. For all of that and for who she is, I'll be forever grateful. Thank you.